Tonight, Bill O'Reilly recently spoke with a doctor who says the government's making us fat on purpose to get money from the food lobby. Michael Eades is the co-author of the book, The Protein Power Life Plan.
So, Doctor, we seem to have a problem here with food and politicians. Why don't you define it for us?
Well, the problem, Bill, is that the food guidelines are the nutritional guidelines that people follow, and they believe that these things have been come up with by scientists and that they're promulgated by science, and they really aren't. There's a lot of industry input behind that. And so we're being told not to eat wheat, for example, because it's good for the American wheat farmer. We're not being told to eat soybeans or eat tofu because it's good for the American soybean farmer. We're told to eat these things because it's healthy for us. And in a lot of cases, that's incorrect.
All right, but the American consumer, including myself, so confused. Every 2 minutes, another diet. Don't eat white bread. Don't eat pasta. No, you got to eat the pasta. That's the carbo. You got to have it. Come on. Nobody could know. And my theory is everything in moderation is okay. Am I crazy here?
No, you're not crazy, and everything in moderation is great. But if you look at the USDA food pyramid, the whole bottom third of the food pyramid is filled with basically one food, and that's grains. And that's not particularly in moderation. You know, when you and I grew up, because I think we're about the same age, it was the 4 food groups, and it was eat something in each of the 4 food groups every day. And then in 1977, they started to fool around with these guidelines, and they came up with basically or primarily a grain-based diet that's been that way since that time with a few minor modifications.
Now, when you say grain-based, you mean a lot of bread, cereal?
A lot of bread, cereal,
spaghetti?
Wheat, spaghetti, pasta, even potatoes, all those kind of things. And
now, what's wrong with that?
Well, what's wrong with it is since they've come up with those guidelines, people have been eating more of that stuff, and what's happening is you've seen obesity skyrocket. Just in the last 10 years, obesity's up by about 25%. It was fixed at about 33% in 1990. Now it's up to over 50%.
But isn't that sugar? Isn't that sugar and fat, like McDonald's and a fast food?
No, not necessarily, Bill. Potatoes, bread, wheat, pasta, whatever you eat, your digestive tract converts that to sugar. So when you eat a potato, just a medium-sized potato is about the sugar equivalent of about a quarter of a cup of sugar.
And you feel it's because the agricultural lobby have been ramming this stuff down the throats of the federal government, and they're buying it, pardon the pun.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if they're buying it. The scientific committees aren't buying it, but this is what lobbyists do. And, you know, that's really the American way, and I don't have a problem with it, except don't tout it as science. And if it weren't so disastrous, if we weren't having such disastrous health consequences with obesity up, type 2 diabetes up by almost a factor of 11 in this same period of time, I mean, something's clearly wrong because these things have held stable for years, and they changed the food guidelines, and bam, we have all these problems.
All right, but you see, I've never seen the food guidelines. I don't know. Most other people are watching, I don't think they've ever seen the food guidelines. What they see is advertising on television and these diet books. That's what they see. And we are getting a lot of pushing on the grain, I know that, but I don't know what the food guidelines are.
Well, I know. I mean, according to your book, people spend all their time reading or watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and pro wrestling, but somehow they're getting this message. And one of the ways that they're getting it is the U.S. government is required to implement these food guidelines in their programs, and the U.S. government is the single largest consumer of food in the world. 53 million people every single day get fed by the U.S. government.
Yeah, in the schools, right?
Prisons,
now there you go.
In the Army, in the military.
Gotcha.
And in the military, there's a huge weight problem. People are getting run out of their right and left.
All right, I got you now. Okay, with the schools and the military and the government buying this stuff and pushing the grain products and people getting fat. Now,
yeah, but food manufacturers get on the bandwagon too, and they start loading the stores with low-fat foods that are much higher in sugar that cause all these same biochemical problems that cause us to get fat.
We got 45 seconds left. Fruits, vegetables, everybody knows you got to eat those. What else do we have to eat?
Well, I mean,
stay healthy.
We recommend in our practice that people eat more meat. I mean, meat's got a lot of good nutrition in it. It's got, you know, sulfur-containing amino acids that boost your immune system. Good fats are good for you. There are way too few of those in the
All right, so meat,
guidelines.
And how about fish?
Fish is great, meat is great, low-fat cuts of meat are great, fruits and vegetables are wonderful, berries are spectacular. I just stay away from the, you know, the pastas and the grains, and that doesn't mean that you can't eat it from time to time.
Yeah, just once in a while, but don't be eating it every day.
Yeah, I just wouldn't be face down in it every day.
All right, doctor, we appreciate it very much. Thank you. Very informative.
My pleasure.
Still to come.